Okay, hi everyone. Coming back to the part 2 of periodontal medicine. So now I'm going to talk in detail about each and every system and its relation mainly with the periodontal disease. So again, before going into the class, again we'll recall what is the definition of periodontal medicine. So it was given by Offenbecker in 1996. Okay, so he defined periodontal medicine as a rapidly emerging branch of periodontology which focuses mainly on the research of new data which is establishing a strong relationship between periodontal health and disease and the systemic health and disease. So this means a two-way relationship in which the periodontal disease, mainly the individual, may have a powerful influence on the individual's systemic health. Coming to the paradigm shift, previously it is known as a periodontal infection, but now it is as a periodontal inflammation. So previously they used to say because of this infection there is some disease, but now any infection or whatever it is happening inside the human body, the first thing which is coming into play is nothing but the main inflammation. So this inflammation is very important, or it is the one which is responsible for causing many other systemic diseases. Okay, now this slide shows you the possible mechanisms by which gingival inflammation may modulate the systemic disease. There are three pathways. Okay, when there is gingival inflammation, this gingival inflammation is nothing but it is caused by the periodontal pathogens. Most of the time the gingival inflammation is caused by periodontal pathogens. Okay, so there are three pathways which they are going to reach the target area, or which they are going to stimulate the target area, or where they are going to mainly cause disease to the target area or the target organ. Okay, the first is the direct entry of bacteria mainly into the bloodstream. It is nothing but the bacteremia. Okay, these periodontal pathogens, they directly enter into the main bloodstream from the junction epithelium or through the circular epithelium, and they enter into the tissues, they enter into the connective tissue and then into the bloodstream, and they reach the liver or the target area or mainly the target organ and causes the disease. The second mechanism is inflammation. That means the bacteria and the bacterial products, as we all know, they might not cause direct disease to the organ. Okay, we can say that these bacteria or these bacterial products, they stimulate the host cell. These host cell, because of the stimulation of this bacteria, they are going to release some pro-inflammatory mediators. Okay, like cytokines, pro-inflammatory mediators like pro-inflammatory cytokines, PGE2s, MMPs, whatever it is. So they are going to reach the mainly the target organ and mainly the liver, and they are going to cause the inflammatory changes in those particular organelles. The third one, these bacteria or periodontal bacteria which cause the mainly this inflammation, they are going to mainly this evade the host immune response, and they are going to again the target organs. So they are going to reach the target organs, whatever it is. Okay, when we say this particular disease is causing some problem to some other organ, okay, mainly the periodontal disease, it is not only through one pathway. There are chances of all these three things to happen, or only one or two things to be happen. It's not only one thing which is going to cause the particular disease to particular organ. There are chances. One is the bacteremia, the second is inflammation, the third is immune response. Okay, so never think that only one particular pathway is going to reach, or only one particular pathway is responsible for causing the disease. Anything can happen among all these things. One is bacteremia, the second is gingival inflammation, and the third is immune response. Okay, so here you can see the periodontal disease, or you can say it's organ systems and conditions possibly influenced by periodontal infection. I don't say the periodontal disease will directly cause the disease or thing. There are chances of influencing some other systemic diseases. One is the cardiovascular or the cerebrovascular system. The second is endocrine system. The third is reproductive system, and the fourth is respiratory system. There are many other things. There are, so previously I told you, because of periodontitis there are chances of cancer and all these things. But Most commonly, if you go to the literature, many studies or many research has been done on all these four things. Okay, so coming to the cardiovascular or the cerebrovascular system, so there is a relation between the periodontal infection and the atherosclerosis. There is a relation between periodontal infection and coronary heart disease. There is a relation between periodontal infection and angina or myocardial infarction and stroke, the cerebrovascular accidents. Okay. The next is endocrine system. Most of the studies, there are many studies where they have done on this diabetes mellitus and periodontal disease. Okay. The next is the reproductive system. So it is shown that the periodontitis or periodontal infection, because of the periodontal infection during pregnancy, there are chances of preterm low birth weight infants or preeclampsia. The fourth is the respiratory system, where there are some research has been done where there is a relation between periodontitis and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease or acute bacterial pneumonia. So these are I'm going to brief about all these systems and how this periodontitis is going to affect or going to influence this the systemic diseases. Okay, from the next slides I'm going to talk about all these things. So before telling you or before discussing how the periodontitis causes the systemic disease or heart problems and all, first we'll talk about some brief about the systemic diseases. First we'll start with the heart thing. This slide shows you the acute and chronic pathways to ischemic heart disease. Okay, the coronary heart disease, there are, so to form this myocardial ischemia, this angina or myocardial infarction, there are two pathways. One is chronic and acute. Chronic because of the risk factors. I'm not talking about what risk factors is. Many risk factors, like it be smoking, periodontal disease, inflammation, many other bacteria, disease, whatever it is. Because of these risk factors, okay, there will be chronic. I'm talking about chronic now. There will be, the first is atherosclerosis. Because of this atherosclerosis, there will be narrowing of the coronary artery and thereby causing the myocardial ischemia, and which mainly results in angina and myocardial infarction. This atherosclerosis, if sometimes, mainly it can go to the main acute pathway also, where it causes the occlusion of the coronary arteries and thereby causing this angina and myocardial infarction. So coming to the main acute pathway, here you can see the it is not a sclerosis, it is the thromboembolism. So it is going to occlude the coronary artery, thereby causing the myocardial ischemia and angina, and which leads to myocardial infarction. Okay, so first we should know how this happens, and then we'll talk about, so what is the relation between periodontal disease and all these events. The factors that affect the blood viscosity, there are very important. Is the blood viscosity mainly depends on three factors. One is the plasma fibrinogen, the second is the plasma lipoprotein. I think you know what is LDL and VLDL levels. Okay, it is called low density lipoproteins. This is very important. When we see the blood test and all these things, we'll ask the patients what is your cholesterol level and all these things. So the plasma fibrinogen, the plasma lipoproteins, and the white blood cell count. These are the three factors which are very important for the blood viscosity. So because of increase in blood viscosity, definitely there are chances of the blood flow, mainly the blood flow restriction and slowing of the blood flow and all these things. So from the next slides, I'll tell you what is the relation between the periodontal disease and these heart diseases. So this slide shows you the main effect of infection on blood viscosity. Okay, I'm not talking only about the periodontal disease, whatever it is, any other infection in the human body, there are chances of increase in the blood or changes in the blood viscosity, thereby causing these ischemic heart diseases. So increased plasma fibrinogen and von Willebrand factor, okay, causes mainly the hypercoagulability. When these two are combined with increased white blood cell count, when the increased fibrinogen and increased von Willebrand factor is combined with the increased white blood cell count, the blood viscosity increases, thereby increasing the risk of the coronary ischemia. many research or many studies have proved that the fibrinogen levels and the WBC levels are often increased in periodontal disease. So now you have an idea. So because of the increase in that viscosity, there are chances of ischemic heart disease. So because of the periodontal disease, it has been showed that there is increase in fibrinogen levels and WBCs, which are very important mainly during the periodontal infections or periodontal disease or periodontal inflammation, thereby causing the ischemic heart disease. I am not saying this is only the pathway, there are different pathways. This is one of the thing. Okay. Okay, this slide shows you the pathogenesis of atherosclerosis. The monocytes and macrophages, they penetrate into the arterial media and produce pro-inflammatory cytokines and growth factors. Okay, the main ingestion of this LDL, okay, mainly it gets enlarges the monocytes to form the foam cells. Smooth muscle proliferation and this plaque formation, they causes the thickening of the blood vessel wall, and thereby the lumen is going to get narrowed. Okay, so this is the pathogenesis of this atherosclerosis. So this slide gives you the influence of periodontal infection on this atherosclerosis. You can see here the periodontal pathogens and their products. Okay, they are going to result in the damage of the vascular endothelium. Monocytes and macrophages, they mainly enter the blood vessel wall and produces the cytokine, and that further increase the main inflammatory response and propagate this atheromatous lesion. Okay, the growth factor production leads to the smooth proliferation mainly in the blood vessel wall, the smooth muscle proliferation in the blood vessel wall. So damage to this endothelium also activates the platelets, thereby resulting in platelet aggregation and mainly potentiating the thromboembolic events. So this is how mainly the periodontal infection or inflammation which has an influence on this atherosclerosis. So this flow chart shows you the cardiovascular and the periodontal consequences of the hyperresponsive monocytes and macrophage phenotypes. Okay, so what happens is, in combination with some other risk factors, the macrophage phenotype predisposes mainly these individuals to both atherosclerosis and periodontitis. So bacterial products and the main inflammatory mediators which are associated with periodontitis, they affect the vascular endothelium, monocytes and macrovascular endothelium, monocytes, macrophages, platelets and smooth muscles, and they may increase the blood coagulability. So this may further increase the main atherosclerosis, and it is going to result in thromboembolism and the ischemic events. So this flow chart shows you what I have explained now. Okay, so this macrophages, and with this MO plus means it is the activated macrophage. So this is going to result in the hypercoagulability, and where there is formation of atheroma formation and thromboembolism. So now coming to the periodontal disease and stroke. So this ischemic cerebral infarction, or it is also called as stroke, is often preceded by systemic bacterial or viral infection. This stroke is of two types. One is hemorrhagic and non-hemorrhagic. This non-hemorrhagic stroke or this main ischemic stroke is usually caused by which is caused by the thromboembolic events and cerebrovascular atherosclerosis, whereas the hemorrhagic stroke often results from a vascular bleed, such as it's like aneurysm. As we previously discussed, the periodontal infection may contribute directly mainly to the pathogens of atherosclerosis by providing a persistent bacterial challenge to the arterial endothelium and thereby contributing to the monocytes and macrophage driven inflammatory process, and that results in and which is going to result in this atheromatosis and the narrowing of the vessel lumen. This is what is going to happen. So furthermore, the periodontal infection may stimulate a series of indirect systemic effects. So means such as the main increased production of fibrogen and CRP, which serve to increase the main risk of stroke. So periodontal disease has been associated primarily with an increased risk of non-hemorrhagic stroke. It is not with the hemorrhagic stroke. So periodontal disease, because it is mainly because of the bacterial infection or bacterial inflammation. So it is associated mainly with the non-hemorrhagic type of stroke. So now in this class, I told you about the systemic relation between periodontal disease and systemic diseases, or the relation between the periodontal disease and systemic diseases. Here I told you about the heart disease and the stroke. So next class I am going to talk about like some of the systems like diabetes mellitus or pregnancy outcomes and respiratory diseases. Okay, yeah, thank you. Stay home, stay safe.